co-curricular handbook, fees, and some other items. Carol just Faust will be going through some new scheduling apps that we have to make things easier for you, and going through our online registration for sports that many people have already completed. We'll also hear from the athletic trainer and Room Gold Athletic Club. By 6:30, we will split into our individual sport meetings. Football will stay in here. Cross country will head up to the band room. Volleyball will be in the commons, and cheerleading will be in the library. At 7 p.m., by 7 p.m. at the latest, those individual sport meetings will be over, and anyone who needs to complete Life of an Athlete will stay here to complete that, and that will end by 7:30. Mr. Prohaska will run that. Life of an Athlete has changed slightly from the past, and I'll go over those requirements a little bit. So for anybody that doesn't know, an introduction here of myself, middle school, high school principal Boone Collison, and I do thank you for allowing us to try some new things with these meetings this year. In the past, we've had separate meetings to kick off this fall sports season, and that's led to people having to commit multiple nights to meetings if they have athletes in football and cross country or volleyball, and we want to streamline this process a little more as well. And also having to come to a Life of an Athlete meeting besides that. So lumping all this together, I hope improves some efficiency. And the plan as we move into the winter sports season and then the spring is to have a winter sports meeting where if you've already, we'll flip everything. So we'll have the individual sport meetings in the winter, followed by anybody that hasn't heard this spiel where you're going to get right now about the paperwork, and then followed by anyone else who still hasn't completed Life of an Athlete. And we'll repeat the process in the spring so that there's only one night where we cover all the sports and get things out of the way. And we'll try with new technologies. If you're unable to make any of those meetings, you have them taped. We're taping right now, and this will be placed on the Eagle TV YouTube channel for anybody that cannot make it. The individual sport meetings will not be taped. Life of an Athlete, that will be burned to a DVD that athletes will have to check out from the office. All right, to get started with, some of you have already filled out the online sports registration this year, and we've had some good feedback. That seems to be a pretty good process to eliminate a lot of paperwork for us. A big change with that is the co-curricular handbook looks different than it has in the past. In the past, we've had a middle school handbook, we've had a middle school co-curricular handbook, we've had a high school student handbook, we've had a high school co-curricular handbook, we've had coaches' handbooks. Now what we've done is we've combined them together. We have a middle school handbook, which includes the co-curricular handbook as an appendix, and we have a high school student handbook, which includes the high school co-curricular handbook as an appendix. So with what I'm going to begin with is going through some very basic things with the co-curricular handbook, some little changes that have taken place. There's really not that much that's different in terms of processes. It's more or less eliminating some redundancies from the handbooks. And the old high school handbook had the locker room policy, so did the co-curricular handbook. So we've eliminated a lot of pages here. First of all, as we get to fee payment tonight, which will be able to take place over here, right there tonight, Jeannie, right? As we finish up, all co-curricular fees in the district in high school level are now $20. There are no middle school co-curricular fees. So all the fees have been lined up. We used to have different levels, and they've all been just evened out, so they're all the same now. The $20 athletic fee is the same as it always has been. So that takes care of the fees in the handbook. A couple things about eligibility as we move into the school year. It is very important to have good attendance in order to participate in athletics and other co-curriculars. And one of the big sticking points with that is being on time daily to school. If you are tardy to school, then if it's past a certain amount of time, you will not be able to participate in practice, or if it's a competition night, you won't be able to participate in competition. If you are late after an open campus lunch for sophomores and seniors, the same applies. You need to be back on time in class, or you will not be able to participate that evening. In terms of attendance, there are things that are excused to participate ahead of time. Medical appointments, we need to have a note from the doctor's office. A lot of the doctor's offices standardize those now. That's also available as a link on our website where you can get that doctor's school day appointment pass. School-sponsored activities, you're excused and can participate. Also family emergencies, funerals, medical emergencies, road tests for driver's licensing, and college visitations are all excused absences so that you may participate in practice and co-curricular contests in the evening. Physical examinations. This is one thing I need to clarify because there's some confusion at the table as we started. All athletes in the district must have either a physical examination or an alternate year card turned in annually. And we have a checklist to tell you if you don't know which one you need. The physical card is the big green sheet of paper, and the alternate year card is a little third piece. You need to make sure that you have the correct one. And over here at the table, we have that sheet to notify later. Or Mr. Brass will have it when he gets here. But you need either one annually. So physical is good for 2 years. The next year you would have to turn in the alternate year card, and that does go for middle school athletics as well. Under no circumstances will an athlete be allowed to practice without turning in either a physical or alternate year card. If you ended up picking up the wrong one at the beginning tonight, please turn that back in because we are limited in those documents where they come down to us from. Academic eligibility stays the same as it was in the past. We determine academic eligibility by quarter grades, first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. You are allowed no failing grades to participate in athletics. If you have a failing grade, you have 15 school day suspension from co-curricular activities. One change to this, fourth quarter. Going into this school year, we go by fourth quarter grade from the previous school year. And one thing we've had happen a lot over the last few years with increase in technology is a lot of students making up coursework in the summer. If you complete the agreement ahead of time with me, you can make up coursework in the summer. You failed one class, you can make up that coursework and be eligible come fall. You just have to complete that agreement with me, and all requirements must be completed before the first competition of that scheduled season. So that is the one major change in terms of eligibility that's included in the handbook. All major suspension times. We hope this doesn't happen, that's our goal. But if you have a major violation, suspension for something, it can be reduced by 1/2 if you self-report. Now that self-reporting has to take place to 2 individuals, and there's no circumstances where anything else is allowable. It is either made as self-report to the athletic director or directly to myself. And you must do that within 3 calendar days of the incident, but before being contacted by myself or the athletic director about the incident. So if I hear about it one day and contact you, you can't self-report anymore. So again, only to the athletic director and myself. You may not make that individual self-report to your coach. It has to come to one of us. Your coach will not make it for you. It needs to be directly. Okay, major violations, again, these are things like using and possessing alcohol, tobacco. One confusion point, and I think this is important for you younger students to realize today, you have a lot more pressure than maybe we did years ago because of technology and the internet and Facebook and Snapchat. Somebody takes a picture of you holding a beer or something, that's that. You will serve the suspension. Those things, as soon as that happens, they fly out all over and they're never gone. So keep those things in mind. Those are new pressures you have on you. There's always somebody watching. Okay, 30, 40 years ago, there wasn't. But now those things get out there no matter what. So, if something happens, to me the big message is always, something happens, you live the consequences, you learn from it, and we move forward. But keep that in mind as a young person, that somebody's always watching now, and you never know when your picture is being sent out doing something. Major violations, first offense is 30 days, second offense 90 days, third offense 180 school days suspension from activities, and the fourth offense exclusion from activities programs. Minor violations include but are not limited to school suspensions. And one thing I'm going to point out here with changes in cell phone policy, you can have a minor violation which suspends you from one competition for an in-school suspension or an out-of-school suspension that happens during the school day. So as we talk about cell phone policies, you refuse to give it up, you refuse to follow cell phone policy and get into school suspension. Now you've also given yourself a violation of the student activity code, and will face a suspension for that. So as we start the school year, we'll have individual meetings with all the classes to explain these things in more detail. 3 minor violations constitute a major violation. Okay, paperwork, which Ms. Joseph Fox is going to clarify here in just a minute. But the co-curricular pledge, that's one piece of paperwork you need to turn in. That's done electronically. The only thing that you're going to actually hand in to us is either the physical or alternate year card. We have to have a hard copy of that on record. We tried some of the uploading of that, and certain things are not readable with the pictures, and you have to take a picture of your cards, and that just wasn't working well. So the alternate year card and physical examination are the only thing going to be turned in as a hard copy.
And with that, if there's a few of you who may have completed that online registration for the high school sports prior to Monday, if you would please go back in tonight, tomorrow, and just go back there and resubmit your registration. We took that step out so that it looks like you did complete, which you really actually did. New this year, we're going to use a program called Our School Today. It is a calendar, website, and an app. This app will allow you to see the schedules on their phone at all times. It also has the opportunity for you to sign up for alerts via a browser of your phone or a desktop computer, so that if we cancel because there is snow on the track field, you can get an alert right to your phone the minute that we cancel. So if you go to, it's for mobile, for Androids and for iPhones, it's called Our School Today. When you search for Our School, it will come up as Activity Scheduler. These screens are the first screens that you will see. You will then choose Wisconsin as the state, and if you type in FENN, you will see that you can see Fenimore to choose that as your school. And the Android phone or screen looks just a little bit different. You have to click on the search button up at the top, and then you can type in Fenimore and type it. On the left there is the home screen. The top left-hand side is your menu button. You can see in the middle there where it says girls weightlifting. That shows what is happening on the next few days, the current day and the next couple days that's happening in this school. Down in the bottom left is where you will click to view the different schedules that we'll have available. And on the right at the bottom is a choose the date. So if you have to go out and say what is happening on December 15th, you can go out, look right at December 15th, and it will tell you everything that is happening on that school day or that day. On the right-hand side of that screen, you'll see what the menu button looks like. You have a calendar. You will see scores once we have scores entered. You can look at the rosters for the different teams once those are entered. And then you will ignore the mobile login and the web login. That is for administrators only. The cool thing about this is if you have a student who is involved in several different activities, such as they're in band, they're in football, they're going to be in wrestling, they're in track, they're in choir, you can choose which schedules you want to see on your phone at all times. However, I'll put the caveat out that right now our school, their school-only schedules on the app is slightly broken, so we can't actually see them anymore. But the screenshot I have there in the middle shows you we have AP testing dates, we have a band schedule, we have all those sports activities schedules, and if you were to tap each of those that you want and then click view, it would show you, and you can scroll down all throughout the whole school year what your student is involved in. If you then click close, it's going to ask you if you want to save that schedule, and if you had everything in there that you wanted, you would say yes and name it, and then you could say, this is George's schedule for everything that they're involved in. On iPhones, you have the option to change the name of your schedule that you've saved, or delete it by swiping left. Androids have the option of either swiping right to change the name or to swipe left to delete. But if you edit it, you can add in Android phones at any time. You can add more schedules or take schedules off of your personally saved schedule. And this PowerPoint I have here, I'm going to make available via the Facebook page. so that you can go look at this in more detail at home and work your way through as you're getting that app on your phone. This is the view on a desktop computer or a browser from on your cell phone. You can see we have the list of days on the left and tells what's going on each of those days. On the right-hand side, there's an arrow pointing to a button that says Collapse Menu. If you're on your phone, you're just going to see that darker arrow box up there. And if you click on it or tap on it, it will expand that menu so you can see the calendar and then all those options below. That will collapse or open that menu button. You can view the school schedule calendar by a calendar view like this. So you can see multiple days, multiple weeks all at one time. If you click underneath those buttons there, you can view by type, you can look at the calendar and only look at school activities. You can look just at high school activities. You can just look at athletics. You can also choose to view several different calendars on the View Schedules button on the right-hand side there that will bring up a list of all the schedules we have available, and you can check those boxes and view as many or as few as you would like. Down at the bottom, there is an icon that you can't see very well, but it's a globe, and next to it, it says Notify Me. This is what you're going to click on to enter in your email and cell phone information so that you can get alerts to your phone and email as soon as we make any kind of change on any of the schedules. And you will just go in there and say Create New Account by putting in an email address and password. And then you will enter in your personal information, your name, what cell carrier you have, your phone number. And then you'll go on and it will give you a list of either categories or schedules for sports or any of the school schedules. And you will just check the boxes that you want to have available to get notified about. And then it gives you the options to be reminded ahead of time for each of those different schedules. Or on the right, to have a notification sent to you if there's any changes to those schedules. If you fill in the top one in either of those columns and you want them all to be the same, there's a nice little button that says Fill Down. So if you want to be told a day in advance for every schedule your kid is involved in, choose one day and then click the Fill Down and then we'll fill those down. Or you can have, some of them be an hour, some of them be 2 days, a week, whatever your preference. And then those can be changed at any time. You would just go back in and log in and update your settings. As far as the high school sports registration, that is going to be found in Family Access under the Online Forms button. When you click on Online Forms, you will see you have two options for high school students. Middle school students will only have the option for the co-curricular pledge only. I think. No, they will not have the co-curricular pledge. They will have middle school sports registration only. If your student is involved in any of the sports, they will only have to fill out the high school sports registration. You can ignore the co-curricular pledge only button. If you have a student who's not going to do any sports at all, but they're going to be involved in play or forensics or FFA, that is when you'll choose the co-curricular pledge only form. There are 4 different forms. You will just start at the top, work your way down, signing, dating, and filling in all those forms. When you get to the co-curricular pledge form, please fill out all of the text boxes. We ask that the primary phone be listed as one of your cell phones so that we know that this is the phone that's going to go right to someone's cell phone. So if you have a cell phone, please put that in the primary phone box. Any questions? Thank you.
All right, again, I'm sure if you're like me, if you're looking at your phone, you didn't see some of that stuff, and it's all going to be made available on the Benmore High School, Middle School Facebook pages, so that you can see those presentations to help you with the Our School app. A little background on that, that's what the SWAL conference and other athletic conferences use for all their scheduling, and that's why we went that route. So for instance, now if we have an event at Iowa Grant in the winter and it gets canceled because of snow, Iowa Grant cancels it, you're going to get the notifications automatically as soon as they cancel that. And it's just going to make things a lot more efficient with us. But make sure you go through that process, get the notification spot checked in that registration process.
Will there be practice schedules on that as well?
Yes.
The answer is yes to that. There will be practice schedules included on Our School app. All right, one thing I forgot in the handbook, insurance. This always comes up if a student is injured in athletics or at school. The school does offer secondary insurance through First Agency. So what happens is that covers insurance above and beyond your own insurance and what that would cover. So there's a process where we fill that out at school, and then you get a notification at home or some paperwork you have to fill out on that end. With that, I am going to turn things over to Jen Wagner. Jen Wagner is our athletic trainer from Grand Regional Health Center, and she's going to briefly talk about some training aspects of the athletic program, impact testing, and concussions.
So most of you might know me. The younger students would not know me or parents, but I've been in Benmore for the last 3 years, been around in Lancaster working for going on 9 years, and before that in Iowa and Illinois, but been here for almost a handful of years. So my purpose here is to be here in case an injury occurs, of course, emergency situations, injury prevention I can help with, warm-ups, that sort of thing. Some coaches or teams utilize that a little bit more, others already have their own routine, but just so you're aware of what the role is for us to be here. During your online registration, you guys signed a form that was on the top, kind of caption was for Grant Regional. When you do that, you're giving me permission and Dave Raker, who will be the other athletic trainer that comes and spends some time here in Benmore, to assist your child and when an injury occurs, treat them in an emergency, and also you're giving your permission for them to be baseline impact tested, which is a neurocognitive computerized test that the school actually pays for within their contract with the hospital for each freshman and junior to be baseline tested. It's a piece of information. I liken it to getting an x-ray after, or we're worried about a bone being broke, and then the post-test would occur after an injury if you choose to take that route. And then we can compare the baseline to the post-test results. So that's why that's in place. We have every freshman and junior do that, unless I'm told differently by a parent. So that's the paper that you signed. It used to be a little card, now it is this online form. That's what you're signing when you do that. A couple other things to talk about. Saturday mornings in the fall, starting after that first scrimmage at the hospital in Lancaster, the rehab department is open from 9 to 11. Those are open hours so that we can catch anything that might happen throughout the week that we might not be able to talk with somebody about, or from a Friday night that we want to handle before Monday when we can maybe see somebody again. So that's open for all sports. All of our schools are told that, so they can come as kind of a first come, first serve. You might end up waiting 5 minutes, you might wait a little bit longer, but that's what that's for. There's no fee associated with it. One of us is there just kind of hanging out, waiting for people to show up. If we know that, coaches usually give us a heads up. Volleyball, cross country, whoever has football is utilizing it, saying so-and-so might show up, this is what's going on. We usually know about it if it is from a Friday night, but sometimes we get somebody coming in from a different sport. But just know as parents that that's there. If you have your child coming home and telling you, this is going on, I haven't been able to see Jen, or I haven't seen Dave in so long, that would be a time that you can connect with your coach and they can connect with us, and we'd be happy to take a look at it. Also, something that kind of gets lost in the shuffle throughout the year is this laser treatment. So we have had a lot of kids utilize this from Benmore. What it is just one of the therapies we can do in the rehab department, but it's something that we can't bill insurances for, so we're able to speak that in with our school contracts. So it's just an opportunity for us to help an injury speed up in their healing process is how I like to use it. There is absolutely no cost associated with it. We wouldn't ever even schedule an appointment for your child. It would never go through insurance. It's a free service, just an extension of our coverage here. The unfortunate thing for Fenimore kids is that they have to get to Lancaster to utilize it. So that is a piece of it. I think I've filled out 100 school permission forms to get somebody back into school for that treatment. So just that's what that's about. So that's Saturday morning clinics, the laser, and then the other topic I always want to go over is just concussion. So in the last 5 years, I would say there's been a big movement to manage these better, to do that better. We do have this in place in Fenimore. The state of Wisconsin in 2011 passed a law that indicates, and you guys, is that? So those forms are online too, the heads up, which means every child, adult, and coach that's participating in youth athletics has to be able to recognize the signs and symptoms of a concussion, know what that looks like, and has to report that. So that's coming from the state. So that's very, very important. I take it obviously very seriously. That's the most serious injury I deal with on a somewhat regular basis. So I can't stress enough how important that is, that everybody is on the same page with knowing what those look like and how to treat it. And coaches, we talk a lot about, if that occurs, if there's any question, to let me know, Dave know, somebody needs to know about that so it can be handled properly and handled right away. Also, within that, the WIAA and the state of Wisconsin, they give us sample return to play protocols. So if an injury occurs, there's steps that we take to return them back, and that's what we know today is the safest way to do that. 10 years ago, it was very different, and I'm sure that 10 years from now, it will be very different than how we're handling it today. So that's the thing with this injury, it's ever-changing, evolving. People are telling us new stuff all the time about it. So what I can tell you is that I would definitely give your child the best treatment I know and give you all the options at the time of that injury if it happens. But it is just always changing, so please know that. I think that's all I have. If you have any questions, I will be hanging around for a little bit. And coaches always know how to get a hold of you. So if you ever do have a question or your child comes home and says, Jen said this, or have a question about what they're telling you, don't hesitate to get a hold of me also. Thanks.
Okay, along those lines, one thing you'd help coaches out with, I know as a former head coach, advice for football players especially, if somebody's injured on the sideline, I'm sure this applies to other sports as well, let the athletic trainers please work on them and do their job, and they'll notify you if you need to come down and do something there. I know it's hard on the sideline for an athletic trainer to evaluate an athlete when they're not available to just talk to them. So please let the athletic trainers do their job during those events, and then they will contact you with any updates as that event proceeds forward. If there's an emergency, they'll certainly make sure somebody comes and gets you right away. Finally here, as we get ready to break, fees as you move on tonight, the way you can pay fees. And you can pay more than just athletic fees tonight. Over here at the black table by the door, Jeannie Hinkle will take fees for football. And again, you can pay other fees, school registration fees tonight as well. Out in the Commons, Renee Nelson, Carol Joe Spouse will be out in the Commons to take volleyball, cross country, and cheerleading fee payments. Last thing before we break, Maroon and Gold Athletic Club is here tonight. Steve Burdett, Charity Brayer here over at the table, and they are taking payments for Maroon and Gold Athletic Club memberships, and they are also asking those people that are available to sign up to work at athletic events at the food stand, primarily for football games, but also for the Eagle Relays, right? And there might be a couple other events, varsity JV football home games to help out with that. I know from a head coaching perspective in the past, I've never turned down anything I was ever asked, anything I ever asked the Maroon and Gold Club for. They donate about $8,000 to $10,000 annually to the school's athletic programs. You haven't been down to the weight room recently, they just donated a lot of money towards some equipment down there, and they've always done a phenomenal job. But any organization is only going to be successful as long as they get the people needed to participate. And on those big football nights, they need quite a few people running those food stands to make that successful. I know online many of you have already signed up using a Google Doc or Google Sheet for signing up for those food stands, and that's it seems that they filled up most of the JV games already. But we've always said annually, if every family could just sign up for one event, we'd probably fill everything up and be done. So if you could do that tonight, I'd appreciate it, and so would they. And also, the t-shirts come with the membership? The t-shirts come with the membership, so there you go. With that, I'm going to introduce the head coaches and send you on to those fall sport meetings. Jonah Roth, come out here. Head football coach, they will remain in the gymnasium. Ryan Bell, over on the stage. Head cross country coach, you will go up through the girls' locker room door here, up into the band room for that meeting. Jared Nelson is over here. Head volleyball coach, they will be meeting in the commons. And then Coach Andy for the cheerleading is not here tonight, but Sarah Kate will be taking care of that. I believe Coach will be calling in for that event as well. That's in the library. All right. After these sport meetings, if you don't need to participate in Life of an Athlete, you're out of here as soon as that sport meeting is done. If you're a freshman or a new high school athlete that still needs to complete Life of an Athlete, you stay at 7 o'clock to complete that. Thank you very much.